Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Builder Show, the show that builds builders. And this week, we're going to be jumping into the topic of, is thick skin required as an electrician, or is that just a mask for poor leadership? We're going to jump into that with our co host, Cameron Vogelsang, the Tennessee electrician. Cameron, how are you doing this fine Monday?
Doing well, doing well. Just ready to get back after it, like everybody else.
There we go. There we go. And what better topic than thick skin? Not only is it cold outside, but I feel like the last 2 weeks with the union video that we posted, and now we're talking about that I've been doing this for 30 years mentality, we've been getting our comment section blown up. And I want to hear your viewpoint on some of those comments that we've been getting, because I feel like we are doing it justice because we're getting both extremes. We're getting both sides of the spectrum. We have the side that's agreeing with us, but then we have the side that's going, way left field. And I wanted to hear from you. What are some of the comments that you're seeing on your end?
Yeah, you talking about as far as the union versus non-union content goes.
And and then the 30-year mindset, mentality, just as a whole.
Yeah, so in recent past, we've done content that revolved around union and non-union shops, and I would say the majority were pro-union. Um, I would say that 50-50 of the pro-union comments were split down the middle between sophisticated, educated responses, and the other 50% were just people name calling and bashing non-union guys.
Mm.
So that's the content or the comments I've been seeing on the union non-union stuff. The 30-year stuff, I think most people agree with that message. They agree with the mentality differences. Every once in a while, you'll catch an older guy trying to defend his 30-year experience card, but I would say overall, people understand and people agree with some of the points and questions that we're raising, the angles that we're coming at it. But once again, on all platforms, Will, I've been seeing more comments that were pro union and defending that position more than the non-union, and it could. I don't want to just be selective and sound like trying to reach for stuff, but I think it could be because there's non-union guys who just aren't as vocal. Union guys tend to be louder. They tend to vocalize more, and I've seen some non-union guys not vocalize even though they agreed. I've gotten at least 2 DMs from guys who agree with our position, agree with our angle, but they didn't want to say nothing because they were too scared to get heat. So um, that's a complete analysis of my content.
And I appreciate that because we're coming down this pathway where it's like, why is everybody fighting? Why are electricians fighting each other? Why do electricians hate each other? And at the end of the day, as a whole, this is just taking us down a rabbit hole of saying and establishing that we are undervalued and it's our fault. We're undervalued in the sense where we can't sell ourselves. We can't sell an industry. We can't sell a package deal. We can't say, look how amazing we are if we're busy fighting ourselves. And I think it comes down to just like what you were talking about in that comment section. A lot of people are getting exposed in the sense of the way they communicate, the way that they actually are feeling. A lot of people with their egos hurting are hurt. A lot of people, they like to give a perception of something, an image that they're doing maybe XYZ and they're really ABC. And now, when a topic comes up, they don't know how to respond to it. They don't know how to handle that pressure that actually comes from it. So they just run their mouth either on the comment section or they're doing it behind closed doors. And that's what today's topic is about. One, why do electricians hate each other? Because at the end of the day, we're talking to builders, but you and I are electricians, and it just seems like we're hurting. And I wanted to paint this picture to start off with. And I know I spoke on this before, but I love the fact that we are in a blue collar trade. I love that we're in the skill trades because each one of us has a value to bring people together. Each one of us, as electricians, as plumbers, as HVAC, we see what's possible in the industry. When there's a new construction, when there's a new build, we all put our skills together and we can build a house that someone's going to live in, a business where someone's going to now create a life for themselves and others. All of this is possible when we come together and we work together and we start talking and working on a game plan and we see the end result of that. You know, everyone jokes around saying blue collar, we're the C or D students. Yet we put that man on the moon. We built a rocket ship. We figured out a way to make that happen. So that just shows the possibilities and the potential we have if we continuously work together. So, with that in mind, when we see this argument on the comment sections, or we're seeing these conversations happen with individuals, that are in this quote leadership position within the skilled trades, or voices who are also on LinkedIn or on these other platforms, and they don't know how to handle some pressure, or they don't know how to handle a conversation, we just start causing more damage. For example, you were talking about the comments that you started seeing on the union side. My side, on the Gen Z side, we have a lot of the boomers who are just saying, "Oh, Gen Z is weak. Gen Z is just softer than how we were
Mhm.
raised." And a lot of people want to use that as a statement, as a mask over poor leadership. So they're basically telling you, you have to put up with that. That's just the way it is, instead of actually learning on how do we go about fixing this, if that makes sense. So I want to know, is this an industry where you need thick skin, or is it just masking poor leadership? And I want to ask you that.
Yeah, so that's a both and. I don't think it's either or. So yes, you need thick skin if you're going to have any kind of social media presence. Number one. Number two, I think you do need thick skin even uh, out in the field, in the workplace, just because that is just the nature of the industry. And we've talked about how we would like to see a change to that, right? But if you're going to walk into it today, that's what you're going to deal with. So yes, you need thick skin in multiple different settings, applications, but also with that, like the other side of it. So that's, I think that's a perspective from someone who's walking into this. The other perspective is the person who's saying such things as you need thick skin to make it. Um, take kind of taking what I just said, but adding or looking at the other side of the same coin is a lot of times these guys mask teaching, or that they mask their belittling as teaching, right, or as correcting or initiation, because this is just the way it is. And no one wants to deal with that crap, man. Like, all of us have stuff we're dealing with already outside of work, at work. The trade industry, the skilled trade industry is already hard enough. Work's already hard enough. There's already the challenges in and of itself, just at work related things. We don't need more layers to all the bull crap. We don't need the foreman or the journeyman treating you like crap because that's just the way he got treated. So now we need to pass that on to the next person. I mean, dude, that's crap from decades ago, man. That's like how I got treated in high school on my high school baseball team, dude. Like, no one wants to deal with that. It made me not even want to go to practice. It made me not even want to play anymore because of stupid stuff like that. And if you want to defend that and say, oh well, they don't have the thick skin, or they're not made out for it, it's like, okay, well, let the market speak then. We have tons of people quitting and you're not helping anything by leading the younger generation into just leaving their apprenticeships. So that's my take on it. What do you think?
I think you hit it on the head, because we're coming down to this new era of realization when it comes to the skilled trades. A lot of people are now starting to put that focus, because remember, a year ago, everyone was saying, come into there's a shortage, there's a shortage. And we're saying there's not really a shortage, there's a retention issue. We're getting classes filled, but people aren't finishing. But why aren't people staying? And we're saying there's a lack of leadership, or the current generation has poor leadership qualities that's not keeping people. Like, if I'm going to show up and people are saying you have to get hazed or that's part of the job, take it or leave it. Screw that. I'm going to leave. I don't need to put up with that. You know what I mean? If I And then we talked about the 30-year mindset. We usually see the guys who are doing that are, overweight, knees are blown out, backs blown out, and they're saying you got to just rip it from this guy. You just got to take it, take your licks from this guy just because that's the way it is. And then they say, hey, if you quit, oh, it's because he's soft. You see where I'm getting at? It's not attractive. You're not making me want to stay, just like you said, you don't want to go to practice. But a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people want to look at electrician or plumbers or HVAC as in, that's the school of hard knocks. Now that's part of it. And to me, that just doesn't make sense, especially if we keep speaking about how are we going to get people to come into the trades, stay in the trades, retain in the trades, and grow in the trades. And then you're saying at the same time, but I got to, spank you for the first 4 years before before you're allowed to speak on something, right? Because remember, just like you're not allowed to talk about the industry because Cameron, you haven't been in it for 10 years.
Oh, that guy just changed it to 20 years. He just changed it. So
Exactly.
now
So now you're closer.
I'm 54 years old now, and I have to have a knee surgery. That's another qualifier. I have to have a knee surgery. I have to have a knee surgery, and I can't speak on the trade till I'm 54. So that's
that's what I'm trying to say. It's moments like those. It's comments like that someone who's coming in can say, so I'm not allowed to talk about my job. I can't talk union versus non-union. I can't ask this question. I can't do this on my own because this guy with a bad back, bad knees says I'm not allowed to ask that. Why would I show up tomorrow? You understand?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what people need to understand and we have to get more experience on. Not only, and it goes down to it. Do you need thick skin? I say yes. Just you're going to get thick skin just from callus from working. So physically, you're going to get thick skin, But should you have to go into an industry? Should you have to go into work knowing that you have to keep your guard up? I feel like that's the ultimate question, right?
Yeah, I would wonder why people don't take us seriously, especially when we're talking about electricians. All right, so let me start over. As electricians, we wonder why sometimes we're not taken seriously. We see it online. We see people that are pro union for whatever reasons, and they act like fools sometimes because they act like the union's the only way or the best way at every single time. We also have the 30-year experience guys who you can't question them. They're always right. We also have a group of electricians who are basically the Gestapo of the electrical code and want to pick fights every single day about stuff. So whenever you have all of that going on at the same time, people get online and they just see arguing. We're arguing over English words. Seriously, we're arguing over English grammar now. And people wonder why they call us divas. Seriously, met a guy who characterized electricians as divas, and it's like, yeah, because all they want to do all the time is argue about everything under the sun, and that's just not a healthy place to be as an industry.
And I feel like we're our own biggest critics at that point. Now, where does that come from? Now, part of me, as an electrician, I feel like to give us some justice, everyone's passionate truly about what we do. Everyone wants to be the hardest worker, right? No one wakes up, just like what we talked about contractors. No one wakes up and say, hey, I do half-ass work. Hey, I do crappy work, right? Everyone's proud and saying, hey, dude, I do good work. I'm going to do right by you. I'm going to take care of you. I can figure this out. So there's a lot of people who are passionate about what they do. They're passionate either about code, like you said. There's passion about work. There's passion about making money. Everyone has a passion. And when it comes down to that image that they have for themselves, that image of what they want to do for the industry, when something comes in and challenges them, I feel like that's where we see the lack of accountability. That's where we see the lack of leadership, is when you're dealing with things under pressure. Because I feel like everyone loves to brag about how hard they work, right? And if you go after their work ethic, that's where fights happen. People want to brag about how amazing they are at code. And if you challenge a code reference, you see it, they go to war. When people brag about, look at me, I'm this type of leader, or look at me, this is what's going on wrong in the industry, and then you have an opposing viewpoint, then they're like, who are you to question me? Oh, you're this, you're that. I need people to understand, if you're coming into electrical, if you're coming into the trades, do you need thick skin? Yes. Should you be on guard all the time waiting for someone to question? No. But at the same time, even in the Bible, it talks about the shrewd one sees the calamity. You always have that guard up. You always have that sense of, just protecting yourself. Now you don't want to put yourself in those situations. But at the end of the day, we're seeing people are so defensive because they truly are passionate. And I know we had some discussions with some people, especially on LinkedIn, where they disagreed with a way we said something, but at the end of the day, we're working towards the same goal, and they want to actually paint you as a villain now because it's not done their way, or you didn't say something their way. Just like some code videos. Oh, well, you didn't say this, so this video is bad. And it's like, wait, I don't need to cater to that. So we're coming in this world where we have to start showcasing what the industry has, having multiple voices share those points, because the industry is not the same one shoe fits all for everyone. But then we also have to be okay with having these conversations instead of just going straight to bashing, because as an apprentice, we learn those methods. Then you're the journeyman, then you're treating your new apprentices like that. And then now you're a contractor and you're treating your employees like that. And it's like what you said, it becomes this perpetual cycle of like hurt people hurting people. You know what I mean? Never getting over that trauma. What do you think about that?
Look, electricians are very passionate about their work. Electricians care about doing quality work and keeping a safe environment. That is evident. And it is often described as passion. Well, a lot of times with these electricians, passion is also used to justify their behavior. Whenever they start bashing and start name calling and getting an attitude, and passion is a good thing, but also passion can be driven by the wrong qualities, mainly egos and insecurities. And that's what I continue to see with electricians is we talk about passion and, well, the reason I'm acting like this is because I care so much about it. Well, I'm glad you care that much about it, but you're also using that to make excuses or to give you a pass on bashing other people. You're also very insecure about yourself and have an ego you're trying to protect. Not trying to toot my own horn, but especially with the union stuff and the code stuff, whenever people bash me, I don't really, me or like I'm non union. And when people try to bash non union, I don't give a crap. How come is it when I even raise a question about the union, people get their panties up in a wad? How come is it if I do something that's maybe not the code, there's a group of people that just get all up in arms about it? I don't give a crap about what people think of me or what people say about non-union. You see what I'm trying to say? Like, how come is it that there's certain people that can just be chill about it and not get all heated, but then a large majority of electricians, whenever you question them, they get so freaking pissed over nothing. It's like all this petty stuff, dude. It's like you could be doing so much better. Change your presentation, change your tone, change your MO, and some of these people could do great things, but right now they're only dividing and really pissing off other people in our industry. And it's just one big fight all the time. And hey, maybe there's a place for that on the internet. Maybe that's just free entertainment. What do you think?
It's true. It's true. And it was so funny that you mentioned that, because in one of my videos, someone left a comment and he told me, if you're an electrician, your goal is just to do what the foreman tells you to do. And I told him, make me. And I'm like, at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it? What if I don't? What are you physically going to do? What are you verbally going to do? What are you going to emotionally? What are you going to do if I don't? And that's the dynamic of which where we're heading to. You know, we understand just if you say that to an apprentice, he just might not show up the next day. But then how quickly that can just turn the other option, turn the other way also. So that's why we have to be so careful when it comes to this stuff, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen? We're just hurting ourselves. We're hurting the industry. We're hurting ourselves as growth comes. But at the same time, now we got to start looking ourselves as contractors. So now there's this new wave of contractors coming in who don't know how to deal with conversations, who don't know how to deal with rebuttals, who don't know how to deal with questioning. How many times have we saw guys on Instagram or on YouTube say, "Hey, I gave a price to a customer," and they said, "Oh, what am I paying for?" Or "Can you do better?" And they just go, "Oh, this customer is just cheap." It's like, no. What if the customer is just asking a question? We already know electricians don't like to be questioned at all. So now, are there ones who are trying to lowball you? Absolutely. But are there customers that you can get a sense that they're just trying to ask what the heck's going on? True or not?
Yeah, I've seen that a lot with electricians, and I can't. You just pointed that out. We can't speak to every single situation, but I would bet that more times than you think, it's because the contractor isn't communicating well, and the customer is just asking a question. I agree. Not every customer is going to be your customer. I agree that customers are going to be trying to lowball you. I also, in the same breath, say that contractors get out of line sometimes and they lost a customer because they can't communicate.
And then we also got to remember, once again, just like what you're saying. So now we're in the trades, we're learning electrical, we're seeing how our, foremen deal with everybody. Sometimes a GC will tell a foreman to do something. He goes like, "Oh, that freaking super doesn't know what's going on," or he's changing the scope, and everything's negative. I always hated also that phrase. I hate going to a job site and somebody says, "Oh, same shit, different day," and it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, bro, you're already woke up in a bad mood. Like, I've always hated people who do that, if that makes sense, because it just already set your mindset. It already set the pattern of what this day is going to look like. So then when you come up, you think that's normal to say, "Yo, you're at the supply, so, same crap, different day, buddy." You know how it is. So with that being said, we start learning those habits. Now we're contractors and we have all these bad habits now, but we think it's normal. And now we're doing those to customers and we don't know how to react. Now, just like what you were saying before, everyone's so defensive. Everyone has this guard up. They're thick skinned. They got some callus. Just like we were right before we came on the podcast, you sent me a screenshot of someone in the comments who were like, "Oh, ba 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 ba." And then you commented back. And then he goes, "Oh, I just read the caption. My bad."
Oh,
Like,
that
that's what
happens
I
all the
feel like.
time, dude. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you because I have a point to make about that. Go ahead.
I love that because there's moments where we think, okay, this guy's trying to fight with me. But then you respond, and then they're like, "Oh, I read it wrong. My bad. You're good." And then move on. You know what I mean? But that just proved like how on guard we are, just waiting for something to happen. You know what I mean? But now I want to hear from you.
Yeah. So that, and then also on another video, a dude commented the other day about how he was accusing me of deleting all the union comments
Yeah.
on the video he commented. I'm like, and before I could even like respond to him, like, what did you, what are you talking about? He deleted his comments. I think he got mixed up on another video. I'm not going around deleting crap. I let someone just told me the other day, "F you," really bad word. I left it there. I'm just to the point like, look, you look like a fool saying that to me. I'm just gonna leave all the bad stuff up there. You can everything's unfiltered as long as Instagram doesn't take it down. I'm leaving
Yeah.
it all there. I have nothing to hide. So yeah, and then the guy realized what he said, and then he took the comment down. Also, with all this union, non-union stuff, it's funny because, and the quality work stuff. Remember the quality work stuff, the content we did. I've had people tag me in their stories or send me a DM like at 5 or 6 at like 5 or 6 in the morning. I guess when they first wake up because they're ready to talk crap to start the day, and then they delete it. They unsend the message, or they tag me in something, and I saw a glimpse of it, and it has something. It was like trying to challenge something when I said you delete it. Guys, if you're gonna say something, I'm not. It takes a lot for me to get offended and really get upset. Just stand on it. Just stand on business. If you're gonna message
You
me talking
see, but
crap, just
that
leave
so
it.
that's the
If you're
good
gonna
thing
post
about
a
electrical
story,
then.
the Derek Plummer guy, I'll name him by name. You know what I'm talking about, Derek. If you one off chance you may see this, you tagged me in something at like 4:30 in the morning, and then you took it down. Like, dude, just stand on it. Stand on the business.
Yeah. That's you see, it's just a crazy world that we're in now. And then we gotta just remember once again, like if we are coming into the trades, what is possible? We can build rockets to the moon. We can build houses. We can build businesses. We can build people. We can change how you live your life just by what you do during the day. And at the end of the day, if you are going to be more focused, if you're ego driven, if your ego's hurt, if you're looking to just focus on perception, challenge everybody who challenges you, or you're doing light jabs at it, you're not helping anybody at the end of the day. Everybody wants to do this versus them. And it's funny when then you start challenging those individuals, all of a sudden you're the bad guy. And we're just saying, bring it now. We're just saying,
Sure.
bring it. Because at the end of the day, we're in an industry where there is so much potential, yet we're still viewed as second class. And it's only because we're doing it to ourselves. If we're physically fighting ourselves, if we're physically lowballing ourselves, our mentality, the way we communicate, the way we dress and present ourselves, and we're not attracting anybody to come in and stay, we're only doing ourselves a disjustice. You know what I mean? Or an injustice. I'm so sorry. I just try to make up a word right there. Injustice. We're not helping the trades at all if we're just going to be fighting and going with this back and forth stuff. But that's what I love about, at the end of the day, learning and having these types of
Sure.
conversations, because we're starting to see now where leadership can get tweaked. And I'm a firm believer in that accountability stuff. So when people say that's just the industry, or you need thick skin, you're always telling other people what to do. We're in an industry, we're in a trade, we're in a blue collar environment where we need more people who are accountable to saying, hey, this is what's going on. I don't stand for that. Let's change that. If you don't want to change that, I'm going to change that and move on. It's always, you're not doing this. They're too soft. You're doing that. You're not helping here. It's like, what type of environment can we create? So, with that in mind, what are some things that you want to do? What some things that you want to see, Cameron, in the industry changing that we can do to help people not only come in, but stay? And how can we build more leaders in the industry?
Yeah. So first off, I have 2% on my battery, so probably need to wrap this up here. But what I would like to see is for us to be having more conversations, more civil conversations about topics. And here's the thing: we don't have to agree. I we don't get all defensive or all up in emotion if someone disagrees. That's not. I love disagreement because it sharpens me. We don't claim to be right on everything. We could be wrong for sure on stuff, but I think once we start cutting off conversations, then that's when all this tension arises because we're not talking about it anymore. We're scared to talk about it because of the tension, you see. And so the more we talk, I feel like as leaders from every aspect, for example, non-union or and union, the more we talk, the more we can come together, and maybe there's a lot more that we agree on than we think. you know, so I think that's part of it, and then like I feel like the attitude stuff when it comes to how to treat younger people coming in the trades, the apprentices, for example. I don't know. That's just character stuff. Like I feel like leaders who are in leadership positions just need to grow up and stop pushing all these people out because that is a huge part of the problem. Is the poor leadership and mentorship in our industry. But Will, I have 1%. Might want to wrap it up before my computer shuts down.
Everybody, with that being said, welcome back to the Builder Show. We're going to be touching base with you guys on Wednesday, but that is how we build builders. That's how we build leaders in the industry, by having these conversations so we can stop fighting one another. Because once again, we see the potential of what the trade has to offer. We can make a man literally go to the moon. We can build a house. We can actually build businesses where they take care of other people. That is what the trade has to offer. But that's only going to happen if we continuously work together, have these conversations. And just like what Cameron said, we don't have to, the simple fact that we react that way, or we see people reacting in such a hostile way, proves that we need to have more of these conversations. And we always welcome anybody. If they ever have something they want to say, just feel free to just go on camera. We can talk. We don't need to agree, but we can talk. We don't need to run. We don't need to hide, and we're going to be here. So if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, please comment them down below. Feel free to comment on the chat or send us a private message and we can have you guys on the show. But everybody, be safe. Bye.